Welcome back, everybody. So we're going to take a look at some of the changes in 324.2. This is a wave 1, so it's relatively early days. Hopefully they'll make some of these adjustments. For example, we're looking here at it's not really an MFD, but it's the buffer interaction UI. You can see it's a little bit misaligned. It's like this on the Vulture as well, unfortunately. But let's take a look at pricing as well and some of the other items I found. Let's get into it. Up first, we're going to take a look at construction material. I didn't see any change to this, so I had in my notes 1522 as previous versions or live versions construction material sell price, and that's what I was able to find here as well. Of course, it rounds up to 1522, so 1,522. So that looks to be relatively unchanged, at least for construction material. Next, we'll move on to taking a look at live, to take a look at what the current price that I saw. Now, previously I had 14,681 listed, but it looks like live it's currently around 13,673. I don't know if that's due to sales and stuff, but at the end of the day, that is what live is looking like. It's a lovely 13,673. Now we look at the new patch. We're taking a look at, I think this is Orson. Yeah, Orson, same layout here. I looked at two places here, and I'm at 12,720. So actually 12,960. So that's a 5.21% loss, so not a big deal. This is R Corp, a little bit more of adjustment here. This is 12,720, so kind of within the margin area there. So we're looking at about 12,000, almost 13,000 now for the price of RMC. We have the missions. Missions relatively appear to be unchanged. The only thing I noticed is two things. Although the patch notes mentioned that they fixed this, but when I showed up to the missions, the ships were on, and it's weird because when you actually pull your ship out now, it's on as well, and the lights are on. So I don't know if that'll be ongoing. Again, it mentions they fixed that, so hopefully this isn't going to be a problem anymore. But I had to actually end up blowing them up because I was thinking I just need to pull out the power supply in order to make it to power it off, because I tried to hop in the pilot seat, I couldn't turn it off. So being able to actually frack the ship's a little bit more of a challenge. You can also see that the top right corner, at least in the Vulture, it's like this in the Reclaimer too, because the Reclaimer has a green interface, but it's super overblown out with the coloration. So hopefully they'll fix that as well. I imagine that hopefully they'll adjust that. But all in all, they really want you to scrape it. I did notice that when I tried fracking, even in the intro there, you can actually see I still have the mission for the 10K mission where I could pick up it was the Starfare. They have the Starfare or the Caterpillar. At the end of the day, it wants you to scrape those besides just fracking them. It used to be obviously you could just frack them and make the money, although you wouldn't get your money's worth back. But anyways, they want you scraping it. So I ended up scraping this arrow down, and that way it would unlock the other missions. But again, missions are going to be we're not really be all usable. So that's why this is a pretty short and sweet on the mission part, because that's not going to be where the gameplay is going to be at. Next, we'll take a look at some of the changes in panels. Now for the panels, the good and the bad. I guess we'll start with the good. The good is actually the panels will show up, at least those that are the smaller and the medium size, what I call the smaller and medium size. The little scrap piece and the angled piece will show up relatively easily. They show up at when you're about 90% from the signal distance. I don't know what that actually is in meters, kilometers, but in meters. But they show up relatively easier. Like you can see here, unfortunately, the large piece, you have to be on top of it. I mean on top of it, you need like 95 or better on top of it. So unfortunately, that's the first bad. The really big bad here, though, is currently signatures aren't working. So I don't think that doesn't appear. It's not just for the panels, but that seems to be overall. There is a bit of a workaround. You'll notice when I show in the arrow here, when I first had, this one has no signatures, but if I go back and I show after scraping the arrow, I immediately looked for panels and I saw signatures. And that's because if you actually scan, like use your left click to actually scan a ship, whether it's NPC or another player, that kind of like initializes a scan or something. Something goes on to actually allow scanning to work properly after that. Now, I don't know if you warp away if it makes that go away. I wasn't able to test that thoroughly, but it appears to be scanning signatures work better if you can actually scan a ship first before you start scanning, pinging, if you will, for actual signatures. So that is a bit of a workaround. Hopefully they'll get that fixed, because that's a pretty big con. Because when it comes to softening these panels, like I said, the panels actually show up better now, which is a really nice pro. As far as actual material you get from it, that seems to be about the same as well. but at the end of the day, again, trying to find the panels without those signatures is a little challenging. What I had to do when I first found these panels is I was looking for clumps of signatures when I started getting close to it, because it should be clumps more or less. I mean, obviously you can get clumps of asteroids too for mining, but largely speaking, there's going to be a lot more clumps of these signatures when you're looking for scrap and essentially panels. That being said, again, once they get that signature part worked out, it should be much better, but for now, that is a pretty big con. Next, I want to talk a little bit about power management. Gone are the days of the actual triangle management, so there's more than 3 things you have to manage power for. One of those for a salvager is going to be the beams. So your scraper head beams, those have to be managed as far as power is concerned. However, in my testing, I found no depreciable difference between having one, so there's 2 power levels in there. You can put 1 in there, 2 in there, or have 0 in there. I found no difference between using any of those. I was looking at the efficiency, the the timing, all of that stuff. None of that changed, and I was still able to scrape with both of my scraper heads when I had 1 or 2 or 0 power in those beams. I was expecting, because there was like 2 levels, I was expecting with the vulture to be able to only use 1 if I had 1 power level in there, but when I took it down to 0, as I'm about to do now, it didn't matter. The efficiency, everything like that seemed to be just as good. When I put it to 1, again, I clicked it to 1 there. Both my heads are still working, both the scraping heads, and from there I could still scrape. And again, I saw no difference. I still got 0.6 or 0.5. I don't remember if it's 0.6 or 0.4 for these little ones. I think it's 0.6. Anyways, all that being said, managing your power, it just gives you 2 extra spots where you can actually put those 2 power levels somewhere else, like weapons or shields or something like that if you wanted to. Additionally, I did test you can do scraping in nav mode and SEM mode. So finish this out, we'll take a look at the MFDs a little bit. You can see that top right one is highlighted on the bottom under for the word power management. That means that MFD is selected. So you can actually use left alt WASD to actually rotate around the different ones. Top left corner should be number 1, and then it should go to the right to left. It should go 2, bottom left should be 3, and then the bottom right should be 4. But they're currently a little bit seem to be backwards or wrong in the vulture. Hopefully they'll fix that soon. Then you can use left alt Q and E to actually rotate between the different, you can go forwards or backwards and picking the right view that you want. And then additionally at the very bottom of this screen, as we go back in here, we'll take a look. You can actually use something like numpad to actually identify each of the different MFDs. So you can use like numpad 1 to actually identify numpad, the first MFD, then you can do up to 10. So that's what I ended up doing on my side. I don't have that in here, but I did do it on the back end. Anyways, that's about it for today. There's quite a bit to cover already, and I don't want to bore you all with the details, but thanks for checking out the video, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.